Hacksaw. 2x4, it is Hacksaw, tough guy. No one is the Hacksaw Hour. 2x4, it is Hacksaw, tough guy. No one is the Hacksaw Hour.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for another episode of the Hacksaw Hour. And of course, you guys know this fella right here. That is WWE Hall of Famer and legend right here on YouTube, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Jim, what's going on?
Well, Marcus, I want you to give me a woo.
A woo today.
Yeah, try, when you get up, you try a little woo.
Oh, man, I don't know if my voice gets
it's
that
like
high.
your pajamas are too tight, brother. You wake up, you give a big ho. You get
that
the
I
blood
can do.
flowing. You get the hair standing up. You get ready to go, brother. Woo.
Well, brother, I am ready to go on this episode today, man. We are looking all the way back. I was checking the calendar. Last week, you and I had talked about the time that Yokozuna had crushed you legitimately in the ring. Here I was looking at the calendar, and that happened in February. So this right now is 31 years ago that happened. And
I wonder why I got that little ache going. The rainy day here, I got the ache going in the ribs.
That's right. The reminder.
I was like a human suppository, man. Big Yoko sat on me. I was like,
I'll tell you what, it's like I watch back the clip and he takes his hand off the ropes. It looks like most of his body weight was on you. I mean, just brutal. We'll watch it back here today. But yeah, I figure, 31 years later, let's do it. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So we're going to tell the full story. We're going to actually break this one into 2 episodes. There were so many notes, Jim. So
cool.
This will be part 1 of it. Jim, before we get into 1993 and your feud with Yoko, let's talk about some of the stuff going on in the company during this period. First, something pretty wild that happened here at the end of 1992. I've got this from the January 4th, 1993 Observer. Phil Mushnick of the New York Post had a column mention on 12/28 about the Nailz incident. Here's some pro wrestling news you won't read, the Slammers column. The wrestling headliner known as Nailz, real name Kevin Waschultz, was fired by the WWF on December 14th. About the same time, he filed a report with the Green Bay Police stating he pushed WWF President Vince McMahon to the ground after McMahon tried to sexually assault him. Boy, a lot to discuss there, Jim. First of all, what were your impressions of Nailz during his time in the WWF?
Nailz was kind of a scary guy. I mean, he had those Billy Jack eyes, I mean, he was out there, way out there. He had a couple of, I think it was a bailsman, go out and track down people that broke their bail. He had 2 big, huge Rottweilers. He was a buddy of Boss Man's. I stayed in the car when we went over to visit him. But that's all right, brother. It'll be dog food over there, man. But but I was in Green Bay when that happened.
You were?
I was in Green Bay when that happened. And Nailz actually grabbed Vince by the throat and took Vince to the floor and had Vince down on the floor. I was in the building. I was right there in the hallway. Sergeant Slaughter is the guy that pulled Nailz off of Vince. And that's why Sarge is always blessed in the WWE. I mean, he was the guy that physically pulled Nailz off of Vince. And that's when all that other stuff was going on. Nailz knew he was in the shit because he just attacked Vince. He went to a payphone, called the Green Bay PD, and said Vince just tried to sexually assault him. I mean, a huge move on Nailz's part. I mean, kind of a chess game going on there, premeditated. But yeah, Nailz had Vince, Googled him by the throat, boom, down on the floor. Sarge was in the dressing room. A few guys were in the hallway right outside Vince's office, not in the dressing room, Vince's office, production office. And Nailz went for him because he knew he was going out anyway. I think Nailz knew he was going to get canned. And so he was, I know there was other kind of lawsuits going on at that time too, wasn't there, brother?
Yeah, there was all sorts of stuff going on. I believe that this is the era of the steroid trial, and man, it's the company is really in flux at this time. It's Hogan's kind of in and sort of out at this time, and they're getting ready to start WWE Raw. So I mean, man, there's just so much going on that he's dealing with, and then here's another weird thing right on top of it, a sexual assault
on top.
charge.
It was, I mean, shoot, to talk about a great daytime series, a soap opera. There's so much. That's why I stayed away from that. There was so much shit going on backstage. I mean, I'm like, holy, can I keep up with it? I mean, of course, there's a lot of politics too. Everybody's trying to, that's the old joke, Hogan stop quick, Beefcake break his neck. You know, it had his nose. I mean, everybody was smoozing everybody, and yeah, I went in, did my job, and got out of there.
Man, that's the right approach. And look, I don't want to let this go by without actually touching on something that you mentioned there. Billy Jack Hayes, in a holdout with police there, apparently seemed to have murdered his wife, allegedly. We don't know all the facts yet, but Jim, what can you tell us about being around Billy Jack?
Billy Jack was, like I said, like Nailz. There's some guys in our business, their eyes are like this, you know. I mean, and they're always like, not macho wound up, but they're always wound a little tight, and you always keep your eye on them. And I mean, Nailz, the same I felt about Matt Bourne and Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. I mean, it's a rough business. And if you can't take care of yourself, you shouldn't be in, especially my generation. Now, a different generation. You kidding? You get arrested if you assault somebody backstage, And even
Right.
the generation before that was wrestlers' court, Back in our day, it was like, can I talk to you in the shower, brother? A different deal.
And then when the fight ended, the situation ended. Like that was the end of it.
Usually,
Nobody
because there
pursued any
wasn't a
further.
whole lot of fights because, I mean, everybody knew, you're not going to go in there and beat somebody up, like these guys. I had 5 fights, I beat everybody's ass. Well, you never fought a man that knows how to fight. You
Right.
fight another man that knows how to fight. You don't walk away clean, okay, it came out okay.
No matter what, fighting, a dude who's whatever 6'4", 260, you're probably gonna walk away with an injury.
Oh yeah,
Um,
at the least, your hands are going to swell up where you can't open a door, you can't turn a doorknob. I
right.
heard. I don't know firsthand.
Well, no, of course. So it's interesting because you're the son of a policeman, so I would guess that you'd see a guy like Nails or Billy Jack, and you probably recognize that kind of crazy, maybe a little bit off sort of look in their eyes, where it's like, man, this guy maybe is not quite right.
Well, some people just did not. Of course, when my dad, he worked his way up from a patrolman to chief of police, 40 years in the police department. But when he was night captain, I was like 13, 14 years old. I'd ride around with him, and my dad would he'd be riding, he'd have a driver, and I'd be in the back seat. Anytime they hook somebody up, they throw him in the back seat with me. I go, yeah, becoming man, my man. They go, holy shit.
Well, you were a
But
pretty big kid. I'm
yeah.
sure you were intimidating them.
No, but then because I ride with the police, I grew up in a police family. I enjoy the coppers, so I had to quit riding with them. And when I was in Florida, because one officer would pick me up and we'd all meet in the parking lot. He goes, "We got a hacksaw with us," and we'd all meet in the parking lot. They're like, "Let's go get one." I'm like, "You don't have to get somebody in my account, fellas. What the hell?" And sure enough, they hook somebody up. They throw him in the backseat of a police car. He'd be back there, son of a bitch. Hacksaw Duggan? I'm a
That's
big
got to be
fan of
pretty
Hacksaw.
surreal.
Get me out of this. I said, it don't work with me in the street, kid. It ain't going to work with you.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, look, as we start out 1993, you're going to be working with the Brooklyn Brawler and going over on the house show loop. Jim, Steve Lombardi was a mainstay in the WWF for a long while and would even go on to have an office role. What can you tell us about Steve?
I like Steve. I got along with Steve okay. He got a lot of heat because he was a friend of Pat Patterson and a lot of people, but he was able to stick around in a very tough business to stick around that long and come up with different characters that worked. I mean, the Brooklyn Brawler, I kind of enjoyed that. And it was, a good little spot. And he knew his spot and made his money and saved his money and did well in the business. So, yeah, I enjoyed working with the Brawler. It wasn't like we weren't going to take. We both were gimmick guys, so we could go out there and entertain the folks without hurting each other,
It's
which
funny
was
because like
important back in the day because you were doing, 20, 30, 40 days in a row. So you definitely didn't want to, get injured.
you needed somebody who's a good hand to be working with and somebody that you could trust in the ring. And like, look,
Yeah.
like a lot of people like to dunk on him and say like, oh, geez, he never really made it very far, not a big career. It's like, yeah, he worked for a really, really long time in this
Yeah,
industry. That's
it's not a sport where you're trying to be the champion. That's not the
right.
idea of wrestling. Holy shit. It's a work. You don't have to be champion. You don't have to win all the time. Bruiser Brody told me he'll put anybody over at any time. 1, 2, 3, dead in the middle. Just let him get his stuff on after. Boom, get up, get your 2x4, chase the guy out of the ring, chase the referee out of the ring. Oh, just happen to have one here, brother. Come out and do what you do best, tough guy. Beat people up. Oh, sorry, guys.
You got me wanting to get a 2x4.
God, I get going. I can't help it, man.
You got me pumped up. Well, no, you're right. It's like, look, success is measured in how long did you work, how much money did you make over the course of that career. Were you able to feed your family?
We're not. Yeah, everybody on the Dick Van Dyke show is not Dick Van Dyke.
Right. That's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah, shit. I'm Ringo, baby. Go up there and sing, Hogan, and he's leading the band. Yeah. People look at it as at the wrong. That's not the way to look at our profession.
Well, at the start of 1993, we also get a
fired up there, didn't I, brother?
Yeah,
Holy shit.
You got me.
Hard to get that blood flowing, man. I tell you. No,
I'm not
now,
gonna need. So wait till he's done. But I'm not gonna need my afternoon coffee. I'm pumped up. All right.
Well, also, you don't go woo.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna work for me.
I need that in the morning. Shit.
Also, at the start of 93, we get a pretty interesting debut from a guy that you were very familiar with. Matt Bourne comes into the company under the gimmick of Doink the Clown, which is pretty huge departure from what we saw him doing previously. Jim, what were you thinking when you heard that Matt was coming to work in the WWF?
Well, we had our trouble in Mid-South after we had our trouble, we were still in Mid-South for quite a while together. So it's not like we had that trouble in Mid-South and I went to New York and all of a sudden he shows up later on. I had worked with him since Mid-South, so I figured everything was clear, So when he came in, I didn't really have that big of an opinion. I thought the gimmick was weird. But again, Matt was a professional, even though I don't like Matt and hard to say anything good about the man. But there's a guy that took the character and took it to the right level. As we used One Man Gang as an example with Akeem, taking it to the different level where Terry Taylor, Red Rooster, then he didn't embrace it. Where Bourne, who was a legit tough guy, second generation, piece of garbage, but he had embraced Doink the Clown and made it work and got the character over.
He did, especially when Doink was like a heel. He made it pretty engaging and entertaining.
The best gimmicks are the closest to your own personality, brother. Your best gimmick. I said I wasn't going to be handsome Jimmy Duggan.
So being a heel was
be who you are, brother. And Matt Bourne, he was a natural heel. He was a natural piece of garbage.
Heel in real life. Did you get a lot of interactions with him during this time, or just kind of stay away from each other?
His way. I wouldn't mind. Yeah. Probably the guys, unlike Mid-South, the guys and obviously WWF, they didn't hang together like we did in Mid-South. Mid-South, we do Shreveport, we'd all stay at the Labassiere Hotel or the Alamo Plaza. We do New Orleans, we'd be at the Marriott Airport. The guys would all stay together because we'd find the hotel that would give the best rate, and it would pass around the boys, so the boys would all stay at the hotel. But I'll tell you a quick story. We got the Hilton in New Orleans, and we're getting a great rate, right? And the Nasty Boys come in for one show or two, and they get the big rib. They say, "Oh, we took a dump in the elevator. Oh, we took a big dump in the elevator." Shit, we go to check in the next week. Our rate's up $200. Nasty Boys.
Who's the rib really on? Being everybody.
Yeah, they got us, and they left. Right, we lose the Hilton.
Nice.
But it was fun because the fans all knew where we stayed. I mean, it was a fun time in the business. The guys were much closer. You all travel together. You all party together. You all do drugs and the same women together.
I believe that. Well, look, another guy coming into the company at this time is Lex Luger, and he's coming in during the Royal Rumble as the narcissist. He had a pretty infamous run-in with one of your mentors, Bruiser Brody, a handful of years prior to this. What did you think of Lex? Did you know about their run-in?
I didn't get along with Lex, but I didn't know about the run-in.
He was in a cage match with Bruiser Brody, and I think that Lex had kind of come to Brody before the match and said like, "Hey, so I'd like to do this, this, and this," and I guess Brody was offended by it. They get out into the ring, and Brody just stands in the middle of the ring and won't do anything. He won't sell for him. He won't say anything. He just is standing there. And finally, Lex, who's intimidated by Brody, just climbs out of the ring and leaves. So I guess he asked him later, and Brody just like no sold it. He was like, "No, I'm fine. Just didn't want to do it."
Yeah, I believe that 100%. And a good move by Lex, because I could see why Brody wouldn't like Lex. You know, Lex, like I said, the best gimmicks are the ones closest to who you are. and the gimmick worked well for Lex.
Would you say that he was really full of himself during this time?
Pretty
He's a
much,
different man now.
pretty much back then. You know,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you what, though, I worked with Brody before. We were in a show, a big house, and he wasn't happy with the front office. And he sat in a headlock. I got him in a headlock, and we sat there for 10 minutes, just sitting there. The crowd was booing. And I just became Hacksaw. I'm a young kid, and I'm like, you know, geez, Bruce, what are we doing? He goes, I'm teaching you how to work with the office, kid. He said, they made him go to the ring, but they can't make you work.
Well, Vince was known to be a guy who was fixated on the bodybuilder type physiques. Did you think at the time that Lex was likely to get a main event push, or did you think he was too green?
Well, when they brought Lex in, that's when they brought the helicopter, right?
Well, so that's going to come later on the same year. It'll be like around July or something. That's when they'll change into like USA Lex Luger.
Yeah, that's what that was a writing on the wall for old Hacksaw to hit the road.
Another guy with a flag, yeah.
The flag and the helicopter and the Lex Express, and I got my flag taped to the flagpole. They might have invested a little more into his gimmick. So, yeah, I knew it was time to go. But, yeah, I could see the guy, you know, he worked well down at WCW. People liked him. He had a good body. The character worked well. He was a good heel. I don't think he'd be a good baby face.
Yeah, they tried it. Didn't quite work out.
No, you can't. And that's, you know, you just can't give somebody the flag, brother. You know,
Right.
It's been my honor to carry the flag. When I'm out there waving the flag and saying USA, it's coming from the heart, man. It's my biggest disappointment in the business. I was just talking to my wife because, you know, Toby Keith just went down.
Yes.
And Toby was a big Hacksaw fan. You know, he grew up in Oklahoma, so he used to come to the show. My family, we've been to his shows and stuff. And we were watching his USA video, get teary-eyed watching it. But my biggest regret was I didn't get to go over to Iraq. You know, they had me on the show to go over to Camp Victory in downtown Baghdad, which Vince doesn't get a lot of credit for. He took the whole show during the middle of the Iraqi war right to downtown Baghdad. I had to do a combat landing. And I was all set to go. I had my bags all packed, and Johnny Ace called me the day before. He's like, sorry, Duggan, we're bumping you and we're sticking a diva in your spot.
Oh.
You know,
I mean, how pumped up with the troops of...
I can understand it, but I mean, you know, throw some bags off. Let me sit in the back. I just wanted to go, you know. But, I can understand all the young guys over in Iraq. You want to see old Hacksaw? or a hot young diva? They'd be throwing rocks at me. You know?
I don't know. You coming over there with the flag and chanting USA, I feel like you would get the crowd pumped up.
Yeah, I do a lot with the military, but that's one thing I missed. A lot of guys had the opportunity to go over, and I don't think a lot of guys realize what a special opportunity that was.
Well, Jim, the wrestling world is also going to get some really sad news here in '93. One of the biggest attractions of all time, and a man I know that you would become friends with, Andre the Giant, would pass away on January 27th, 1993. We know that Andre had really been struggling in his later years. Were you surprised to learn of his passing at the time?
Not really surprised, no. You know, as my doctor told me, you don't see a lot of old, heavy guys. That's why I dropped a bunch of weight, you know. Guys that big and partied that hard, but he was a relatively very young man. What is he, in his 40s, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was still relatively young, but boy, he put on some hard miles.
But yeah, that was a lot of man to be carrying around on his heart. You know, that heart had to be pumping hard.
Yep.
So yeah, it didn't surprise me, and I didn't go to his funeral either. I haven't been to any of the boys' funerals. it's like a photo shoot for a lot of guys, you know. And make sure we get to the funeral and take some pictures and stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
so, yeah, even my friends Doc, Piper, and Gordy, I didn't go.
they aren't for everybody, and I certainly don't blame you. A quick aside though, Jim, after we posted that video here on our YouTube channel of you showing some of your great wrestling memorabilia, a lot of folks were asking where you came to own that original ring worn singlet from Andre. How did that come into your possession?
A family friend gave it to me, presented it to me. He's actually, I'm going to do a video. We're heading up to Warwick, Rhode Island this weekend with Dennis Rodman. And I know Rodman. It'd be good to see Rodman again. I got along with Rodman okay.
Oh,
But
awesome.
anyway, the guy up in Boston, he has the biggest collection. You've seen him on WWE's where they hunt stuff down.
Lost treasures or whatever,
Yeah,
hidden
Lost
treasures.
Treasures. He's been on that show. He's got unbelievable Macho Man stuff. So I asked him when I get up there this time if we can do a walk through his house. He's got the unbelievable collection of wrestling memorabilia, and we became friends. And I gave him my the boots I was wearing when I won the first ever Royal Rumble,
Nice.
and he presented me the. I mean, that's like here and here, but I got the Andre's ring worn gear. And when we
Man.
have more time, I tell you the story about that singlet strap. That's there's a whole story about that where he chokes me with it.
Oh man, yes.
It
We will
takes up some time, though.
definitely talk about your rivalry with Andre. So Jim, let's get to the news surrounding you at this time. Melter would report this in the Observer at the end of 1992. I believe Jim Duggan gave his notice this past week as well, but may be staying through the end of January. Duggan's leaving probably has to do with infrequent bookings, and when you're getting paid by the show, if you aren't working close to a full schedule, you aren't going to be making a lot. Jim, any truth to this rumor? Did you give your notice in late 92?
No,
No.
nope.
So
I
just
didn't. I didn't give him my notice.
unfounded dirt sheet stuff.
They
Would you say?
fired my ass, brother. Yeah, I like the sugarcoat it. It's like, yeah, Vince called me, brought me up. I mean, I called them to go up there, and when the writing was on the wall, they called me and said thanks, but adios, amigos. Yeah, I didn't give a notice back then, and so they canned me. Yeah, it was
But
pretty
that
shocking. It wasn't as I was an adult man. I knew what was going on. When I was a kid, when I got cut from football, that was a terrifying ordeal, because that's all I knew. But wrestling, they fired me. I knew I'd go on and wrestle, but the writing was on the wall with Lex coming in, and I put Bam Bam over at a big pay-per-view. I can't remember what it was.
King of the Ring,
Uh,
I think.
Might have been, but
Yeah.
whatever it was, yeah, I put Bam Bam 1, 2, 3 in the middle. So I'm like, time this goes full circle. I mean, and that's the business. You start off in small high school gyms and National Guard armories, and you work your way up to Madison Square Garden and the big arenas, and then you work your way down. In the old timers, you finish up in high school gyms and the National Guard armories. It's the cycle of wrestling.
That's it too.
But
And
it's a
yeah,
good
I mean,
cycle. I know brother, because I haven't done as many indies lately as I used to do. But I go to the indies, and the boys are the boys, no matter what generation or what country. You're over in Europe, the boys are the boys. I was at the show there all the time. I enjoy being around wrestlers.
a while back it became kind of an internet argument, and actually some wrestlers were chiming in on it, where they were saying like somebody said when a veteran wrestler goes to an indie show and the young guys come up to him and want to get a picture, it's very unprofessional. Like that's what they were saying
Oh,
is like,
ridiculous.
nobody would do that back in the day. But then Sean Waltman actually chimed in and he was like, I love it when guys ask me to take
Yeah,
pictures.
yeah. I asked the guys, anybody want to get pictures? Come on up, fellas. I mean, because I know that a lot of them, I guess that must be the new attitude. Uh, but back you walk in the building, everybody is in the ring going over spots. Get out of the ring, come over, shake your hand, say hello. Very respectful of the indie guys. At least the shows that I've been to, the kids have been great, and they're all out. And that's why I tell you, if you've never been to an indie show, check one out, man. They're great. The kids are busting their ass to get the break, working hard. You sit closer to the ring, you get to meet the guys. It costs less money. I think indie shows are fun, and they bringing an old timer in every once in a while.
Definitely worthwhile. If you haven't gone to your local indie show, go out of your way because I can attest to it. They are a blast. Jim, did you ever ask an old timer for for like an autograph or a picture back in the day? That just was not the thing, right?
No, not yeah. It was different back in the day. Yeah, yeah. It was a carnival atmosphere. It was a second generation deal. I mean, it was a much more tough atmosphere. My sister always thought it was mafiosa. She saw Vince Senior was in the mafia. And then one time I went in his office, I was kind of wondering, man, him and Arnie Skoll are sitting there smoking big cigars, there's plastic on the floor. I'm like, what the hell?
So, oh, geez, walked into the wrong room. We know that Meltzer's, comments here were unfounded because you'd be with the company for another year before you'd leave. But
Oh,
would you say that you were getting frustrated with the company and this transition into the kind of the new generation of guys?
no, I could see it's kind of pretty much run its course. You
Okay.
know, that's the deal. You stay with the company, and sooner or later, there's a flushing sound. That's the big leagues, caps and sleeves at this level. I mean, that's why I can't understand the kids come back. Look at this. I had a great match. I'm bruised and cut.
So you're not supposed to do that, kid.
MMA's the next building down, brother.
It's supposed to look like it hurts and not hurt.
So I guess that Royal Rumble, they beat the hell out of each other. Everybody came out hurt.
Yes, yes. Which again, I'm like you, where it's like I watch it, I'm like, why are these guys like actually hitting each other and stuff? Like, aren't you supposed to not do that?
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't know. That's
I was
what
on a
folks are.
cruise.
Yeah, I'd rather be watching it than doing it.
Yeah, my bed
So
was a little uncomfortable.
so look, I know that you would move on to WCW in 1994, but at this time, were you starting to weigh your options elsewhere as you felt your time in the WWF starting to wind down a little bit?
Well, I was going to ride that horse to the end, brother. As Macho Man, advice Macho gave me: never take yourself out of the game.
Mm.
And I took that to heart, and I was they're stomping on my fingers. I'm like, no, I'm still here. No.
So you don't think you would
Yeah.
have ever left the WWF had you not been dismissed the
No,
following
I,
year?
I would have stayed as long as possible, unless they started abusing me, obviously.
Right.
Or
Yes.
they started jobbing me out all the time, and just just really abusing me. But yeah, I ran its course. And it was a great run, and obviously that was to this day is the golden age, the WWF. Because by then a lot of guys I think were starting to move on. It was a new group coming in, and so I think I went down. I did the Indies for a while until I got the call. I get along with Hulkster. Hulkster and Jimmy Hart gave me the call to come over to WCW, and I believe I was on Hogan's first interview. I was standing behind him at WCW.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah.
Now, it's clearly Vince still has a lot of faith in you because during this time, a young guy who's coming into the company, Yokozuna, is introduced, and you're immediately programmed with him, presumably to get him ready for Hogan, or at least that's how it would appear on the surface. I mean, how did you feel about the arrangement? Did you, it's I've always heard Jake say like that's a good spot, getting guys ready for the main event.
Great spot. And it's the old term in professional boxing. It's Hogan's policeman. I
Mm,
beat everybody, but the guys who beat me would go to Hogan.
yes.
And it's a great spot to be at. Back there playing the drums, brother. The guy beat me, and he moved up to Hulkster, and it was a good spot. And me and Yoko, I got along good with a big guy, and we had good matches together. Just that little gimmick in Fuji. I loved Fuji. Me and Fuji were tight, and so we had a lot of fun. But just knocking him off the feet, we got a huge pop.
Yep.
He was like a weeble wobble, but he wouldn't fall down. He'd and I'd be like, "Oh, is he gonna go? Is he gonna go?" And then, "Is he gonna go?" And finally, he went shit. The place popped, man. And then I
Now,
beat the hell out of me. Holy crap! That's all I remember, Doctor. Things were going good for a while.
We have the clip of you two, and we're going to be watching it. But I was wondering, like, did this happen multiple times with the Knockdown Challenge, like in front of different crowds, like house
No, I
shows
think
and
that
stuff?
was a one-time deal on television. Yeah, that was a one-time deal with me and Yoko. The other
Oh,
shows, he
okay.
just beat the hell out of me.
Oh, I got you guys would just have a match, and he'd beat you.
We'd have a match, and I put him over. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
You know, and then they use photos. It was like Andre, you watch it on YouTube there. Andre, I did a job for Andre, and Andre put his feet on the ropes.
That helps you. Yeah,
Unreal. What a favor, you know, that Andre the Giant would have to put his feet on the ropes to beat me.
that's
But
awesome.
Fuji would also be very instrumental in beating me with Yoko. But I got along with everybody, right? So, yeah, Fuji would be choking me or tripping me or flipping me a Placidil or something, you know. He
Boy, what an
actually did that
advantage.
one time. We were at some small show like Green Bay or La Crosse, Wisconsin. And Fuji's got me choking me from outside the ring. Yoko takes the referee. All of a sudden, it's a Placidil, Duggan. Hey.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Let's go home now. 1, 2, 3. Get out of the ring. Shit.
How long does it take for one of those things to kick in?
Oh, well, not real long, especially when you got it crushed in your mouth and it tastes horrible. Oh my God, it's like somebody took a dump in your mouth. And all I could think they'd be tearing down the ring, I'd still be laying there. We got all the chairs going. What do you want to do with Duggan?
Leave him. Well, Yoko and Fuji had been saying that the big man could not be taken off his feet, and you rose to the occasion and challenged him. This is going to be our only clip this week, and it's what aired on February 6, 1993. He squared off against Yokozuna with the hope of knocking him off his feet. Let's have a look.
How many times are going to let him do this? He's already proven he can't do it. Hey, listen, this should be over right now. Come on, Hacksaw, get the momentum. Hacksaw Jim Duggan psyching himself up. Going round and round Yokozuna. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, he has to do
That's a full Gertrude.
He can't do it. I'm telling you, right now in Japan, the emperor is smiling because he knows the trade deficit is going sky high, and he knows that Jim Duggan is going down.
This is all pretty much a shoot, too, brother.
A shoot, as far as how hard you hit him.
I'm teeing off on him and I'm getting popped. Boom. And we're sliding pretty hard right there.
He's selling it great, too. He looks really concerned.
A good football stance, level back. That's nice to see. Diabolos with Fuji. Oh! Boom! What an honor to be out there.
What a reaction from that crowd. Incredible.
What the?
Oh, boy. Turn around,
That's
Jim.
the way to milk it. There's a professional right there. Milking it, milking it, milking it.
And the crowd's trying to tell you.
What? Where? That's a pro saying, what?
I'm turning it down a little bit while I kind of talk over it. Jim, how do you protect yourself when somebody throws powder or salt in your eyes?
Close your eyes.
That's the only way, right? You just gotta close
That's
them.
it, yeah. Yeah. Actually, it was a bucket of cocaine.
Oh, no. You're about to hulk up then.
Yeah, don't even joke about that, right? Nope. Ooh.
Powerful,
Does
man.
that stuff hurt?
Well, they say that those rings were really stiff back in those days, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, everything. Yeah, people. Does that hurt? I'm like, you think?
Oh, here we go.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan is the victor. You can't take that away from him. But that's exactly what Yokozuna and Fuji are trying to
Wow,
do.
the crowd's into it.
Hacksaw
You
Jim
can tell
Duggan
they're
Get your
bummed
arms
out.
flat. You don't want to have your arms over your head. Get your arms to your side. You notice that.
Why not over your head?
Well, you're way too vulnerable. Get something broke. Get them down here like this.
Oh, okay.
Plus, you can protect yourself more. You know. I thought they had the flag over me.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Now I know that he would break some ribs or crack some
cracked,
ribs
cracked,
here.
cracked a couple of ribs. Big Yoko.
Now
On
was
his
it
first
on?
one too. He got me on the first one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was hard to stay there for the second one.
I'll bet. And now look at him. He's not. It's all of his body weight on you.
Yeah, and Yoko's a big man. God bless him.
Oh, look at that poor kid.
Beautiful.
Heartbroken.
Man, wow, what a great angle.
Look at these kids.
Mr. Fuji now. What is going on here? Is there no control? Is there no dignity whatsoever? Jim Duggan is unconscious. Fuji laying the American flag over a great American. Symbolic.
Now that was hard. You can't see nothing, right?
Yep.
So you know he's coming, but you don't know when. Listen to the crowd, you know it's coming.
You got to be wincing under that thing.
Wincing, that's a nice term for it.
All
Wow, that
right.
was great, man. Holy smokes. They
Was
don't,
that the first?
TV's different show nowadays. Still popular, but you can see why that was the golden age. I mean, and talk about a guy being over. They have the whole crowd on their feet screaming when they knock Yoko goes down. What a heel. He was over that strong. He didn't have to get beat. He just got knocked over and the place went crazy. I mean, a
Yes.
strong, very strong heel, Yoko.
Man, it was awesome. And like seriously, this is something that I see
That
brought
was
up
fun to
all the
watch.
time.
Thanks.
Oh yeah. Is that the
I
first
don't
time you've
watch
seen
much
it?
of that stuff, you know. It's good to see.
Is that the first time you've seen it in whatever
Been a
31
while.
years?
Probably been a while. Yeah.
That's really cool. But yeah, no, it's, I mean, gosh, what a reaction from that crowd. And this is something that people talk about still all the time. I see them bring it up constantly about how heartbroken they were. I've seen where some people say that they cried whenever this
Yeah,
happened.
I
But
hear that too. Yeah.
man, really cool that you got to be part of such, some really iconic moments in WWF history like this.
It's amazing that just that group of guys, that generation of people just remember that era. That's why it's so humbling to go on these Comic Cons and sports signings and have people line up to get your autograph and spend their hard-earned money. I mean, that's why I got to have a little few words with them. They're like, "Move the line along, Duggan." I'm like, "Yeah, wait a minute, hey, brother."
Yeah, this guy's been waiting, whatever, 30 years
Yeah,
in some
right.
cases
Yeah,
to meet
spending
you.
hard-earned money, you know. And then you sit next to some guy who I was next to Tyrus one time. He had a headset on.
Really?
My brother, and just signing.
Come on,
Um,
man.
and it's all relative. People say, "Oh, Hacksaw." People are really excited to see you. They pie face me if Hogan's sitting behind me. It's Hacksaw Duggan. There's Hulk Hogan. You got to know where you are on the totem pole, you know.
Well, coming out of this, Jim, you get injured as you mentioned. How long are you laid up? I know that they turn it into an angle and shoot some vignettes with you and Deborah, which we'll cover next time. But how long were you
Yeah.
down?
Excuse me. Pardon.
How long were you down though with this injury?
Just a couple of weeks, yeah. Not long, you know, because back then, if you didn't work, you didn't get paid, you know, so you could wrestle, work tags or whatever, just work the apron, you know, and stay away from the ribs, whatever. But cracked ribs, you can't do much for anyway, you know.
Is
You wear a
Rodney?
little. They give you, like, especially back then, they wrap you in an ace bandage. There you go. That'll help.
Yeah, you're fine now. So is Rodney like protecting you whenever he drops the bonsai drop like here on like going light, or do you
Well, he
remember?
knows too. This is obviously a big angle. It's on television. We got a chance to shine. If you're going to miss this way instead of that way.
Yes.
So yeah, you want to be live out there, and he was live, and of course I hope my stuff was too, because that was a big moment, and we realized that.
It's cool that you had like the foresight to know, okay, this is really over. We've really got to sell it and make the most out of it. And you guys did,
Well,
it's
yeah,
something.
plus they didn't, I didn't do a whole, they didn't give me a whole lot. And I thought that even though I was getting crushed, there's an example, do your best job at getting beat you can possibly do. You don't have to win the match to get over. And there's an example where Yoko beat the hell out of me. But I was able to get that sympathy, which is really, really, especially for a big guy, especially back then. I was 280. Now I'm 220. But 280, big. That's why it was easier always to wrestle a bigger guy to get sympathy from. If you're wrestling Shawn Michaels, they're like, well, hit him back, Hacksaw. You're wrestling Yokozuna. He's killing him. He's killing him.
Do you think it's tough for a guy like the Big Show or Andre to become baby faces because of that? Because like who reasonably would they sell for?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, but wrestling's wrestling, and they had Ray wrestle the Big Show.
Yeah,
and it's a suspension of disbelief.
That's it. We're almost done, Jim. A couple more, and I'll let you go. Reportedly, oh, you love getting to spend time with me.
Have a good time with Mark.
I love it too, man. Reportedly,
I saw your show with Ted. I got to give Ted the shot.
I'll show him this. He'll love it.
Yeah.
Reportedly, a station in Los Angeles refused to air this moment because of heavy protests from the Association of Asian Pacific American Artists. A spokesperson from the station said that they were not in the business of perpetuating stereotypes. Jim, did you ever hear any of this?
No, but I wish I did. That means it really got over, man.
Right?
Especially before social media,
Yep.
imagine now. But wrestling was very stereotypical. Junkyard Dog, Kamala, Hacksaw Duggan. I mean, Ivan Putski, Nikolai Volkov, the Iron Sheik. That's just the way it was back then. Now, of course, the whole show get canceled.
Right.
But back then, that was just Polish power. Ivan Putski, Tito. I mean, that's just the way it was.
It had been a standard in wrestling for years, so it kind of feels like they're being very choosy on when they want to be offended by it, So it's
But that was good. It got over that well that they got hot about it. Holy smokes, yeah.
I was gonna say any headlines for wrestling are good headlines.
Right.
I
Well,
think
unless you're riding with a Sheik, you don't want that headline.
Right. Yeah. I guess there's some that maybe aren't so great.
I could have done without that one.
Well, guys, that is actually going to wrap us up this time. Like I said, we are going to cover the rest of it on part 2, and we're going to look at your rivalry with Yoko, your return, these awesome vignettes of you back in Glens Falls healing up, and then, of course, Deborah does a great promo on there too. So,
hell of a promo.
Yeah, she does an awesome job. It worked really well and got all this great sympathy, and people were ready for you to come back. And when you did come back, I believe that's when you came back with the singlet on.
Oh, so, I don't remember, brother. Yeah.
I think so. So it was kind of some big changes for you, and we'll talk about it all here in the coming months. But in the meantime, guys, Valentine's Day as you're listening to this, it will have come and gone. However, if you still want to get somebody a last minute Valentine's Day gift, or if there's like an anniversary or a birthday, or if you just want to hook somebody up with something cool, get over to hacksawjimdugganshop.com. Brother, they have got some awesome stuff over there. Some 8x10s, but really the main event, as far as I know, is that 2x4, right, Jim?
2x4s with 1 foot, 2x4s, they go well. Actually, when we travel to Comic-Cons, we have a suitcase full of 2x4s. about 30 2x4s will fit in the suitcase. It'll be under the weight limit for the airlines, So I'm waiting for somebody to steal that one day and get home and open it up. What do I got? What?
Somebody's going to be pretty bummed out.
1 foot 2x4s. What the hell?
But yeah, look, if you can't make it out to a show to see Jim, then go to hacksawjimdugganshop.com. He signs those, he'll personalize them, and they'll be shipped straight to you. Also, another gift, if you can't get out to see Jim, is how about Cameo? Cameo.com/Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Jim will cut a promo on you. He'll give you a nice birthday message. How about a roast? I mean, there's so many options on that thing.
We do a
And
lot of fantasy football stuff. Guys,
really?
congratulate them or give them the business about losing.
Oh, see, now that's
There's
nice.
probably 60-40 giving the guy the business about losing on the fantasy football.
Well, hey, look, here's another
And
pro
I can
tip.
give him the business, Marcus. I can give him the business.
If anybody can, it's Hacksaw. And look, you
I
know,
can still yell.
if you're looking for a pick too, I bet Jim could make some college picks for you, right?
Oh, yeah. Depends what kind of pictures you're looking for, Marcus. No Polaroids.
Actually, I meant like football picks, but we could do that too. Sure.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Well, in any case, it's always a blast getting to catch up with you, Jim. We will be back here in 2 weeks doing another mailbag, so make sure that you guys get your questions in here in the comments, and we'll look forward to doing another episode of the Hacksaw Hour.
All right, Marcus, give me a hole, brother.
Here we go.
Oh! Thanks, everybody. See you, brother.
See you guys next time.
2x4, it is Hacksaw